there, boys and girls. Today, we're going to be working on doing Scandinavian folk art. And in general, we're going to be working on this doing a rabbit because we're hoping spring will be coming pretty soon here. So to start with, you're going to take your paper and you're going to basically need paper, pencil, and crayons just to work on. And while you're doing that, I just want you to know that most of the traditional Scandinavian folk art pictures are objects from nature. So they'll have animals and birds and trees and plants and flowers are often their main focus. That means that's the main subject area of their art. Some also use geometric shapes like hearts or circles or scrolls or curlicues. And these normally are used to decorate like their homes, cabinets, bows, doors, etc. Another thing I wanted you to know was about with folk art, that folk art covers all kinds of visual art. It can be three-dimensional, two-dimensional. It can be different formats, and it used to be generally the objects were for practicality. That means it was something utilitarian. It was something they could use, like a bow or something. But this made it a little bit more decorative when the folk artists would get a hold of it. But, most folk artists are people who are trained in a certain area of art, and that's called an artisan. And those artisans normally are keeping a tradition of either a country or some form of tradition alive. So, hopefully you all have your paper now. So we're going to turn it up and down portrait, like I told you we were going to start with. And we're going to be doing a side view of the rabbit. So we're going to start to lay out some shapes that just to kind of help us get started. So I want the head here, and this is the side view, by the way, of a rabbit. So I'm making a circle or an oval-ish type of, or egg-shaped type of circle here to start off my rabbit. All right. Okay. Now, to add to this, his ear's going to be going this direction right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a long, skinny oval. So right now, I'm sure you're thinking, hello, this does not look like a rabbit, but it will. So we're going to take this side of that oval, and we're going to bring it with a little curve in to this oval. And over here, we're going to bring the bottom of it to here with the head. So we now have the head and the ears attached. Now, the next thing we're going to need to do is the side of the rabbit. Now, if a rabbit's sitting down, this big area in here is going to be the side of his body, and it's going to be pretty fat. So I'm going to make a pretty good sized circle here to represent my rabbit's body. Okay, now the next part of this is we're going to extend our rabbit's head by giving him a nose area. So his nose would come from the top of this circle. It's going to come kind of straight down in a line going diagonally down. And then we're going to curve it around and bring it back around like that. So now, at this point, I know it might not look like it, but you actually have your rabbit's ear and his full head with his snout. So to see that, if you can erase this part here and this part here. And now you're probably starting to see the actual shape of the rabbit's head and ears. Okay, so now let's move on to his body. So from this circle, I'm going to go where this ear, how it touched the circle, and follow this U shape, because right through here, this would be kind of like a stretched out U. And I'm going to follow it down at a diagonal till I touched the big circle. And that now, you have the whole back of your rabbit. Now, it's not a rabbit until he has a big bushy tail. So from the side, I'm going to come here and make a C. Okay, so the next part is where this circle is touching over here. I'm going to bring that, and that pretty much, just so you know, like our circle is like right there. So in this area, I'm going to come down, and it's coming straight down, but not like straight like this, because if this was going straight, it would look like that. So it's coming in a little as it comes down to touch the circle. Now I need my rabbit to have feet, because we all know that rabbits have very large feet. So again, I'm going to make a rabbit's foot, which is a backwards C. And it's a more stretched out one, because over here we have looks more like just a normal C. This one would be a backwards, really stretched out long one. Okay, so we're almost there. So from this area here, we're going to hook this together. Okay, now we get our eraser. I've got to erase this again since I was showing you where to put that. I'm going to erase the top part of that circle there. I'm going to erase this part of the circle and this line right here and this line right here. And I'm sorry if my camera is shaking, it's because it is set up on an easel on my table, and this isn't my sturdy table, this is my painting table. All right. So we now have the side view of our rabbit. So when we start to create designs inside our rabbit, because we're not doing like a fur or anything, we're going to be creating using some of the symbols that the Scandinavian folk artists would use. They would use more than this, but here's some I have for you. And so let's see if I can put this over here so we can see both things at the same time. And if I move it over a little bit more, I think you can. There we go. Okay, now our next thing we're going to do is right around in this area, you would find your rabbit's eye. So I'm going to just make a rainbow arch and then do a rainbow arch or a smile to make my rabbit's eyes. Now, rabbit's eyes are very large, and you can do a lot of things with this. And so in just a minute, I'm going to show you a few fun things we can do. Another thing we need is the inside of our rabbit's ear. So I'm going to follow this part of my rabbit. Right in here would be my rabbit's nose. So from a side view, they have big eyes and big noses and big ears and big feet. I love rabbits. They're just so cute. Okay, so right now at this point, I feel like we're kind of getting, all right, this is the rabbit. Now the fun part. We're going to start decorating the inside of our rabbit using this. And I'm going to show you 2 examples I've done. So I started with one like this, and then I tried another technique, and then I took it, and this is all crayon. Crayon can be beautiful if you just use the right colors. Now, I will tell you, for most of the Scandinavian art, they normally use natural, like colors you could find in nature, like reds and blues and golds and things like that, where you could go out and make your own paint, even though that is not what we're doing here. And so I pretty much decided just to use crayon. You could even, if you have watercolors at home, you could do all this in white crayon and then watercolor over it also. So that's kind of, there's some choices for you there. But normally it would be either a black accent with color or white accents with one solid color over it. And I think this was more fun, and it's easier to do crayons than to get out all the watercolors. So for his eye, I'm going to go ahead and follow this line. And this, all this inside here, I colored mine in with a Sharpie, but this time I'm just going to do pencil for right now. Okay. Now, you can do various things. One thing I did is I kept this here, and I came around like this. So it's very similar to the circle we started with. And you'll see that that's kind of what I did on this one. Now on this one, I outlined this and over up in here, and even went into this area and did it all together. So I just want you to have options. You can do it how you want. Both times I did put dots inside the ear. So I'm going to go ahead and do that again. All right. Now, I want this line, so this would be pretty much where the head and the neck connect. And then I'm going to follow that again. It almost makes it look like he has a collar on, or she has a collar on. And I'm going to come and make some U's or scallops lines. And then I'm going to follow that so there is some more interest in these. And I think I'll go ahead and add dots here. Okay. Now, mine kind of were the same in this area on the two. But after that, I did different things. And I think I'm going to take you through some of the steps for this one. Or you can just stop and do your own. And I'm going to leave you can leave this up. I'm going to go ahead and try to put it into our lesson separately so you can see it, along with the finished blue rabbit. But basically all you're doing is filling him up with natural items. And if you're going to make some of these type of leaves and things, it's really more like making an infinity symbol or an 8. This is always a good technique too for if you're drawing a kite and you're adding a kite's tail to it. All right, and then I love this rounded look here, so I followed through with that because a rabbit would have his haunches here for his back leg. And so I just found it was more fun to go ahead and take it around to bring a little of the whimsy into something that would feel also very natural on the rabbit. And I'm going to top it off with one right there. Now, the next thing you could do is, these are always fun, scrows or curlicues, and I start like I'm doing part of a spiral. And then all you have to do is do scallops. And I'm doing these on the outside of it. Okay, there you go. And then you can come back with your marker and add some dots on the inside of the line. Okay, so let's see. Some of the other fun things I did was I started with one of these flowers. I put one here on the side. Okay, and now I did another big one down in here. I did this one a little bigger and I added some more interest on this one. So like this would go off, so I'm just following it where it would go. A lot of the backgrounds on these things would be very busy on the Scandinavian art. Okay, let's see. I believe I'm making this one a tad different. And I'm going to make a flower. In fact, I think I've brought my line to come up a little bit more this way. Okay. And to make, I'm going to work on this type of flower. So we're going to make an upside down triangle, or actually it's almost like an upside down cone. And then I'm going to round it. And then again, I'm just going to make some quick petals here. Okay, very good. All right, and then you can fill in the rest with other things. You could put another curly cube if you have room. You can put the, I painted these black when I did them, but it was more like leaves, or it can be thought of as seeds or petals on the flower. It's just, I wanted to make sure I turned them different directions. And we have a pretty busy rabbit here. So again, I'm just going to put mine here for you. And the picture for this and this is going to be on your actual lesson plan. And if any of this went too fast, I hope you will just pause it and go back to what you need to look at and have a good time with it. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.